City Council meeting is now called to order. If you would, please stand. Councilman Shine will lead us in an invocation, followed by a pledge by Councilman Everson. And this would be a good time to go ahead and make sure that your cell phones are on silent.
Let us bow our heads, please. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you again with bowed heads and humble hearts. Lord God, we ask you to touch our hearts and touch our minds so that the decisions that we make today will be acceptable in thy sight. Amen.
If you would, please face the flag and with your right hand over your heart, repeat the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Ms. McCullough? Here. Mr. Everson?
Here.
Mr. Oliver Jenkins? Mr. Corbin?
Here.
Mr. Webb?
Here.
Mr. Shine?
Present.
Mr. Sam Jenkins?
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the administrative conference?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
August 26th, City Council meeting August 22nd. Motion by Councilman Webb, second by the Vice Chair. Please vote. And that is 5 yes, 2 out of the chamber. At this time, we'll move into council member awards, recognitions, and distinguished guests. I will kick it off. First, want to give some sad news and offer our condolences to the family of Mr. Robert Huey from Willis-Knighton Medical Center, a frequent visitor here in the council over the past few years, and his sudden passing on Saturday, September the 7th. So our thoughts and prayers go out to his family. Next, I would like to recognize a couple of special guests in the audience. Dr. Mary Nash Robinson, Interim Superintendent of Caddo Schools, and Mr. Victor Venero is with her today. And Dr. Robinson.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Chairman Coleman and members of the council and Mayor Glover. I have answered the question maybe 10 times or so this year. Are you it? The answer to that is yes, ma'ams and sirs, I'm it. I am proud to serve as Caddo's interim superintendent of schools, and we are excited about the beginning of the school year. We've gotten started with our incredible staff and students. Having worked for the district for 40 years, I can say that we had one of the best openings of a school year that we've ever experienced. Seriously optimistic for a great year, and we want to build on a lot of successes that we just want to enumerate for you for just a minute. You may know that 2 of the 3 Louisiana Students of the Year were Caddo students. Could have been 3, but that wouldn't have been right as far as the state is concerned. 2 blue ribbon schools added, Claiborne and Oak Park, which brings Caddo's total numbers to 9. The district performance scores are up. The graduation rate is increasing. Acknowledged by the state that we are successful, more successful than we deemed with the ACT, and 10 of our schools were moved from the academically unacceptable rosters this year. There has been a whole lot of conversation about Common Core. We invite you to go to the website www.caddo.k12.la.us and to look at the Common Core Parent Portal. Information there which is very easily understood that will help you explain to folks who have questions about Common Core. There are a number of changes too that we want to make you aware of. In the transportation department, we've added a call system that will inform parents when it is that buses are late, where the buses are, and when to expect arrival. In our buildings, installation of security so that our children are safer. Bus loops have been added to a number of schools. We are particularly proud of the grand opening of Oak Park Micro Society in the Bethune building, or in the Bethune facilities. We hopped on the bus at the beginning of the school year, and thank you for hopping on the bus with us. In fact, maybe 40 community leaders participated in that event. And we're very impressed with the way our administrators open schools. We want you to know that back-to-school nights continue, and if your schedules will permit, we'd love to see you there. We look forward to a very wonderful year where we are all working together on behalf of children. And we came today because we know the impact that we have on economic growth and development in this city. And we vow to do the best within our potential and to make you proud of that part of the entity. Again, Victor Monero is with me today. He is the Director of Communications and Marketing, and if ever we can be of service to you, as you do what it is that you do on behalf of children and citizens in this area, then we hope that you will call us. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson, and I think that, I get a little inside information every now and then from the school boards. And I think this has been one of the smoothest school starts in a long time. I mean, it's just, people have done what they're supposed to do, and that's good.
Thank you,
and
sir.
we certainly appreciate everything that you've done and the staff has done to make Caddo, get off on the right track this year. We appreciate it. Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, I don't want to take any credit, but I've been knowing that young lady for a long time, and you know how we old church folks are. Dale, I had a chance to bless her a long time ago, and you see it turned out all right. Marinelle, I'm extremely proud of you.
Thank you,
And
Bob.
I
And if
know-
I mess up anything, it's his fault, okay?
And I know you will do an excellent job as
Thank you, sir.
superintendent. Thank you very much. The other thing I'd like to say, Mr. Chairman, James Kojo Livingston passed away on September the 4th, 2013. We all know he was a fine journalist for the Shreveport Sun. James was a noted community and actually worldwide activist. There will be a family hour at J.S. Williams Funeral Home on September the 10th, 2013. That's today, from 6 to 7 p.m. 1104 P Avenue. The funeral service will be held on September the 11th, 2013. At 11 o'clock at Evergreen Baptist Church. That address is 804 Allen Avenue. There is an account that is set up at the Shreveport Federal Credit Union for those who would like to contribute to the family. The account is under the name of Shannon Livingston. She's the wife of James Kojo Livingston. Kojo was one of the cornerstones, one of the activists, one of the people who didn't only profess to be a Christian in the church, but went out and worked and helped people. And that's really what this life is all about. So the family would appreciate it if those of you who are in the sound of my voice would say I was going to say a prayer for Kojo, but I guess it's probably too late.
For the family, though,
Yeah,
I'm
for
sure it
him,
would be
but
greatly.
at least say a prayer for the family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman Shine. And the last thing that I had is, if anybody happened to be in downtown Shreveport Saturday morning and saw colorful dust clouds rising above the Clyde Fant Parkway, over 6,000 runners participated in the Run or Die. It was quite an event to see people running and walking and having dye thrown on them. The parkway was beautiful colors, and as I said, the air had the color in it. But 6,000 people showed up to participate and get a little healthy exercise, and it was a fun morning for all. Councilwoman McCullough.
Yeah, actually, Councilman Shine reiterated what I wanted to express, and that was, again, my condolences to the Robert Kojo Livingston family. As a representative of District A, where he resided, I actually had the opportunity to visit with the family, carry refreshments prior to the coroner actually coming to receive his body. And of course, Mr. Shine have shared with you the hour of the waiting and the funeral services as well tomorrow at Evergreen Baptist Church. But again, I would like to express my condolences to the Robert Kojo Livingston family. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. I want to join Councilwoman McCullough and Councilman Shine and the rest of the council in expressing deep remorse and sorrow at the passing of my friend Kojo Livingston. I think, as I shared with the council on yesterday, the thing that best sums up my experience and perception and view of Kojo was that he was a man who spoke truth to power without fear and without hesitation. And there's not much more that you can ask of someone who wields a pen in the fourth estate to be able to have a willingness and a commitment to do. And I think that not only Mr. Shine, Councilwoman McCullough, council members, that should we say a prayer for Kojo, as well as for his family, his wife and his children. But I also think we ought to say a prayer for ourselves, because whenever you lose a man who has that type of commitment and willingness to call things as he sees them, whether it is to your convenience or comfort or not, whenever they leave us, it is a loss for us all. So we will certainly be lifting him, his family, and our community up in prayer. On a brighter note, I want to stop, Mr. Chairman and members, and express deep appreciation for Dr. Nash Robinson for coming out to share with us today and giving us a recap of the situation and circumstances with the Kettle Pear School Board. For those of you who sit on this body and think that you have a hard, challenging, difficult, thankless job, then you can only look to Dr. Nash Robinson and the 12 folks who she works with over there on Midway to know that elective service is not all tea and crumpets and pie and ice cream. But the work that you do there is as important and as critical as anything that is being done anywhere in Shreveport. And so on behalf of all of us here in the city of Shreveport who understand exactly as you just referenced, is whether we have children or not, whether we are in the educational system or not, whether we have family members who are in it, if we live in Shreveport, if we live in Kettle Parish, if we live in Northwest Louisiana, our quality of life, our viability as a community is directly connected and impacted to the quality of work that you guys do. And so we appreciate your willingness to take on that charge and to serve in the way and the fashion in which you are, and for reminding us that despite all of the challenges, that there are some substantial points of excellence that are taking place within the Kettle Pear school system that we need to acknowledge, be aware of, to support and to celebrate, and to continue to figure out ways to be able to replicate it. We also need to continue and hopefully to do so even at a greater level, to support you in a way and a fashion that allows you all to make, just as these members must do, and I in my capacity, all of us who take on this mantle of leadership, to step forward and be willing to make the very hard decisions, the very challenging decisions, and oftentimes the unpopular decisions that ultimately end up being in the best interest of what it is that needs to be done and what needs to happen. So I pray for you and all those who take on that challenge and that charge every day, and know that we stand ready to continue to support, because as I said, we've got some excellence, but we've also got some situations that frankly have to be dealt with, and we have to have the collective maturity, for lack of a better way of putting it, as a community, to step forward and realize that those problems are not going away, that we can't hide from them, and then ultimately we're going to have to take them on, and we're going to have to come up with some solutions and some answers that allow us to be able to do the very best that we can and achieve even a greater level of excellence than we have in areas that we have. And we also understand that if we fail to do that, there are some folks out there who want to step in and say that they can maybe do it better. And so in that regard, we don't have a choice. And so like Councilman Shine and like others, I want to encourage you. I'll say this, and I don't want to get into anybody else's politics, but I think I've already expressed publicly. I hope that you will somehow find a way to keep yourself in consideration for the final and permanent spot. I think that process needs someone of your experience, your connection, and your ability to achieve excellence involved in it, so at least the community has that option. And I think that if that's done, then there's a very good chance that you may at some point stand before this group and the community as a whole sans the interim label on your title. So thank you and God bless you. Members, I also want to, as I did on yesterday, encourage all of you all in this area who are focused on the Shreveport, Bossier, Northwest Louisiana economy of the future to be aware that DigiFest is going to be taking place, DigiFest South. I believe this is the second year, if I'm not mistaken, that has taken place within the Shreveport area. It's going to be the 20th and the 21st of September. It will be headquartered out of the Bossier Civic Center. We'll have venues that will traverse both sides of the river, from the Red River District to the Robinson Film Center. There are partners galore, including our very own Downtown Development Authority, the Robinson Film Center, and other good folks doing other good things. But these folks will be involved in everything from 3D to coding to all the kinds of things that ultimately represent the kind of knowledge-driven economy that we want to have a larger portion and slice of for Shreveport. Also, for those who are looking for something fun and interesting to do on the downtown riverfront this coming weekend, we will have, I believe this is the third, if not the fourth, our dragon boat races.
Fourth.
The fourth?
Fourth, maybe even the
I
fifth.
know we're getting up there. This coming Friday and Saturday, the 13th and 14th, that will take place down at Riverfront, Riverview Park, rather, on the Shreveport Riverfront. For those of you who never had an opportunity to see a dragon boat race, I would encourage you to take some time to come out and see these great teams working towards a great cause. As I remember, it's the Downtown Rotary Club that is the sponsor, if I'm not mistaken, and the proceeds and past Dr. Nash Robinson have gone to the school board. I'm assuming that to the local schools. I'm assuming it's still going towards some similar worthy purpose, but great fun, a great opportunity, and we encourage folks who are looking for something great to do to come out and cheer those good folks on. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the Shreveport firefighters have won at least two, or if not all of those competitions. Is that we've won two of the three?
We were first losers last year, but we will take the championship this year.
Well, you heard it there, and I'll repeat it for the record. We've won two out of the three. We were the first runners-up last year, and Chief tells me that the Shreveport firefighters will be there this weekend in fine form, waiting and ready to take the championship back. So encourage folks to come out. And the great thing about it, in terms of folks who want to come and observe, it's all free. And if you want to ride with me, you need a good life insurance policy.
I was going to ask, are you a coxswain on somebody's dragon boat? Has the fire department asked you to be a coxswain?
Well, now I call from the shore.
I just think we missed an opportunity to put together our own team.
And we are a good ways here with the 7 members of this council of being able, you add in staff, Mr. Chairman, and you are halfway there.
We might could have done it.
I know firsthand that one council clerk, Oliver Thompson, is well equipped with a boat. He can. I know he does well with canoes, and it's a similar effort involved, just probably about twice as long. So you have some outstanding resources at the council's disposal.
There's always next year.
Absolutely. So that's this weekend, the 13th and 14th. Also want to remind council members that coming up starting on the 18th through the 24th of this month, the city of Shreveport, with partners from all across Northwest Louisiana, will engage in the commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the civil rights movement here in the Shreveport, Bossier, Northwest Louisiana area. There will be information shared with the council and the public that will further detail. It will culminate on the 22nd, which is a Sunday, with an evening activity that will involve a speaker of some national renown that I believe the committee is going to be announcing here in very short order. But the 18th through the 20th, there will be activities that will engage everyone from the young people across this city to folks who were actually there in 1963 as students of Booker T. Washington High School who attempted to march in the wake of the bombing in Birmingham from Booker T. Washington to Little Union Baptist Church. Those folks will be involved and have an opportunity to be able to re-engage and recreate that effort. And as I mentioned, it will culminate with a final activity, final service on Sunday, the 22nd at the Shreveport Riverview Theater. Also, Mr. Chairman, I don't know, Shelley, you can tell me, I saw Reginald Hodge in here earlier. Is he still here? I want to take the opportunity, Shelley, and you may give me some other pointers to recognize our folks who are a part of the community of housekeepers. Mr. Chairman, council members, the 8th through the 13th of September is International Housekeepers Week. For those of us who are the beneficiaries of the great work that folks like Reginald and his charges, as well as on the second floor, our two Jackies who help to keep everything in order there. We want to express our great appreciation for all the outstanding work that they do every day. We look forward to further commemorating the observation of International Housekeepers Week later on this week. I believe we actually have a program that will take place over at our operation on Shreveport Barksdale, and council members would certainly encourage any of you who are available to come out and to join us. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, you should have also at this point received a save the date as well as a letter of invite for the second intercity visit that we're looking forward to taking for the city of Shreveport. We have 30 plus who have RSVP'd for our journey to Birmingham. We have commitments from the head of the University of Alabama at Birmingham system, along with the leadership of their health science facility, the mayor, and several of their leading business development, recruitment, expansion, and research entities committed to meet with us, and certainly would welcome and appreciate any participation from the council as well. We think it's a great opportunity, and we look forward to hopefully being able to learn some things not only about Birmingham but about ourselves here in Shreveport that might be helpful in helping us to become an even better and greater community. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I say thank you and turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Shreveport Bossier Night Out, do we have a date?
Yes. Thank you for that, Mr. Chairman. We will have one more meeting before that, but the Shreveport Bossier Night Out will be the first Tuesday in October, the exact date of which is, does anybody know off the top of their head?
First.
Is it actually the first?
Yeah.
Right.
All right. October the 1st, Tuesday, October the 1st, Mr. Chairman, members, will be this year's, and we have to retract. And Art, I don't know if we can make a motion to change this portion of the minutes, or it's already out there, so we have to live with it. But officially, we are Shreveport Bossier Night Out, because kind of like singing Happy Birthday, if we say the other, we have some copyright issues, and someone might want to send us a bill for making use of their copyrighted name and what have you. So we are officially not the, I can say this, the N-word. We are Shreveport Bossier Night Out, and that will be Tuesday, October 1st. And it represents a departure, Mr. Chairman. I think this may be our 4th, 5th year, maybe longer, since we decided that in Louisiana, the first Tuesday in August is not necessarily all that pleasant of a time to be outside, but the first Tuesday in October can be absolutely delightful. And so we encourage folks who are interested to please contact the police department at 673-5900 or 6900. I don't want to give out an incorrect number. 6900? 69 is the main number. 69 is the main number to be able to put in a request for their block to be partitioned off, and so they can have an opportunity to put on Shreveport Bossier Night Out event, get on our list of places so that we can have our various teams from the respective districts come out and visit and judge. And as usual, I, no doubt, along with you all, will be attempting to make as many as we can over the course of that 3+ hour time span.
Especially
Thank you for the
ones
reminder,
with-
Mr. Chairman.
Especially the ones that have barbecue grills.
Exactly.
Number one.
737383.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman,
time
I've just
will
been
that
given a correction. That number should be 673-7383. 673-7383 to sign up for Shreveport Bossier Night Out.
And what time does that start?
The official kickoff will be at 5 o'clock. I think we're going to try and encourage folks to start a little earlier since the length of the daylight is a little shorter during that time period. But our official media kickoff will be at 5 o'clock, and we will share with the council where that will be once we know where it is.
Perfect. At this time, does any council member have any questions or concerns relative to property standards? I guess you're good, Terrence.
Like you good?
All right. Mr. Sibley, is there a revenue collection plan?
Yes, you do, Mr. Chairman. You should have received electronically the reports we normally send. And now I'll turn to Ms. Sharika Fields, the Assistant CEO, just to give you an update on where we are at this point in our budget year. Ms. Fields.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to report an update on revenue collections and forecasts. Sales taxes saw a positive 3% increase during the month of August, and year-to-date sales taxes are $3.1 million short of the year-to-date budget, but compared to year-to-date 2012, collections are a little less than $1 million short of 2012 actual receipts year-to-date. For gaming revenues, year-to-date gaming revenues are $200,000 below the year-to-date budget and $385,000 below the 2012 actual receipts. We've also been looking at the updates on the effects of Margaritaville, which is still very early. And gaming revenues for the 3 casinos that the city receives revenues from increased in July over June by $711,000, or a 2.4% increase, but still down from last year by about $3 million. These casinos also saw admissions of an increase 2.5% in July over June. As we update the forecast status for gaming revenues, we projected that it would be about $470,000 short of what we budgeted for 2013, and we're a little bit better than target for the gaming revenues. And for sales taxes, we projected again to be $3.8 million short of budget, and we're optimistic that over the holiday season that target will be met as well.
Certainly good to see a bump in July.
Let me ask some though, but holiday season doesn't show up on 2013's revenues.
It will after January. At the sales tax office, they'll flip it. They'll take January of 2013 off, roll on January 2014 to accurately reflect that calendar year. But it's an after the fact deal.
I don't know whether we say it fixes our projected fund balance or our next year's, but it'd be hard to say it impacts our current fund balance.
Charles is going to enlighten.
When the audit is done, the figures we collect in January are included in the 2013 numbers. What we collected in January this year was actually part of last year's audit.
Gotcha.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Fields. I think we have also received our surety bond report electronically. Is there any questions about that? If not, there is no public hearing scheduled today. I do have one request for public comments for agenda items. Council will recognize Mr. L. Harvard Scott.
Mr. Chairman, we do have one item to be added to.
I see that I skipped right over that. Mr. Scott, stand by 1 second. Mr. Thompson.
We have a resolution to determine whether certain properties listed on a property standards demolition list should be demolished immediately or whether demolition should be delayed in accordance with Section 22-3 of the Code of Ordinances and otherwise providing with respect thereto. Mr. Everson may want to speak on this.
Yeah, this is a number of properties that are in or around what could be considered historic areas. The Historic Preservation Committee is in the process of getting set up where they will make these determinations for us, but they're not at that point just yet. And so these are some that we need to move forward. We basically need to allow property standards to move forward with their demolition on these particular properties. We've done the research, and Art and Liz Swain from the DDA have worked with Dorothy to do the research and make sure that these properties are not historic and that it is okay to move forward with demolition. There are some that we're not recommending to move forward with, and they are specified in there as well. So it's just allowing them to do their job.
All right, Mr. Scott, I apologize. Any?
Anybody?
I may have to apologize again. Oh, yeah. The chairman's not doing his job very well today.
I was going to say, we're going to talk about it. Or?
Stand by one more second. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of adding this item to the agenda? Is there anyone who would speak in opposition?
Yeah, did you want to, I mean, Liz or Kelly, did y'all want to? Okay.
Okay, Ms. Thompson.
Also, it can be voted on today, so if there are any comments.
Mr. Chairman?
Jeff, you want
It's also appropriate to acknowledge that we have one of our 5 commissioners of the Historic Preservation Commission who's here with us as well, Mr. Billy Wayne. So, in case he wanted to make any comments also.
Jeff, you want to move to add that?
I would like to,
And I'll
yes.
second it.
Thank you very much.
Motion by Councilman Everson, second by the Vice Chair. Please vote.
I think our commissioner got something else on his mind.
6 yes, 1 absent. Mr. Thompson, am I free to call Mr. Scott up at this point for the final time? Mr. Scott, my apologies. If you would, please state your name and address for the record.
L. Havard Scott III, 1049 Southfield Road, Shreveport. I'm here to support Councilman Oliver Jenkins' zoning C-4713, which is the Piermont 1,000 block of 1,000, I think actually the 800 and 900 blocks too, from the interstate to Dillingham, I believe is where it runs, the new SPI Overlay District 6. I live on Southfield Road in the 1,000 block. I'm across the street from Southfield School. I have 300 feet on Southfield Road and 600 feet at the back of my property, approximately 3 acres. All of these properties on the 1,000 block of Piermont on the north side of the street back up to my residential property. I have tried, in the last year, there have been 3 zoning requests to change residential zoning. You know, the 1,000 block of Piermont between Fairfield and Southern is a little different from the block of Piermont that's closer to Line Avenue. The block between Fairfield and Line is almost all commercial. In fact, I think it is all commercial, whereas the block that's a little bit closer to the interstate is mostly residential. The corners at Fairfield and the corners at Southern are business and commercial, but all the property in the middle has been residential all along and still remains residential. On the south side of the street is Cedar Grove. On the north side of the street is South Highlands. So I'm like the gatekeeper for the south side of South Highlands. And the last year has been very difficult because there have been 3 different properties in the 1,000 block of Piermont where somebody has come along, purchased a piece of property, cleared it, raised whatever was on it, gotten it ready for commercial development. In one case, cut down 17 trees, and I'm not talking about little trees, I'm talking about big trees. That was on the south side of Piermont between Henderson and Willard. 17 trees they cut down, cleared it, got it ready for commercial development, even though it was residentially zoned, and then came with a speculative zoning change to the MPC. I've been successful in defeating these and keeping them residential, not because I oppose the development of that block of Piermont, but because it needs to be done with care, it needs to be done with consideration. You get somebody that comes in and buys a piece of property, gets it ready for commercial development, and flips it, and is only interested in changing the zoning and flipping it to make some money on it, and who cares then what happens to it? They don't even submit plans to the MPC. Councilman Jenkins, I think, put a lot of thought into pushing this overlay district. It started off on a little bit of a rocky road, but we had some hearings with the MPC, Mr. Kirkland's staff. Darrell Sanders worked very hard on this. All of the people that own commercial property were given an opportunity to come in and voice what they wanted to do, and it went through and got approved by the MPC in August, unanimous, without any objection. So the Shreveport Times has given some really good coverage on the front page to this. It's really a design ordinance. It's not perfect, but it attempts to, I think, control the design in that block of Piermont to make it tasteful and to not leave it open to speculative purposes and potential all-night convenience centers, service stations, billboards. We've fought back over the years a number of billboard requests. I've got Southfield School across the street from me. I grew up on Southfield Road. I was gone from Shreveport for 28 years, but came back to take care of my parents in 2003, and I ended up buying property next door to my parents. I made a proposal to Southfield School in 2004 of how to resolve, they were building and building and building and building, and they got to the point where they took all the parking lots or half the parking lots and put buildings on them, and they had problems. And I came up with a solution in 2004 for Southfield School to resolve their issues and to help them with parking on the south side of the street, which they badly wanted. It took me 8 years and the turnover of the board at Southfield School 3 times before they finally went along with my proposal. And now they all look at what has been done, and they now have some parking on the south side of Southfield Road. They just finished it 3 weeks ago. And everybody says, gee, we wish we'd thought of this sooner. Well, they had the opportunity in 2004 to think of it, and thank you that finally John Atkins came along, one of the most dignified people I've ever met, and we were able to resolve it. And he saw the foresight of what I was proposing. Now I'm under assault from the south with people that want to take residential property and just convert it. I think Councilman Jenkins has come up with a good proposal. I would urge this council to pass it. And have any questions?
Yeah, but Derek definitely deserves a lot of the credit, so let me say that.
Well, and let me say this. You happen to have a councilman who has a young councilman with a brilliant mind. So you all are very fortunate out in that area to have somebody like
Thank you, Councilman Shaw. I am on the board of both ArtSpace and the Shreveport Regional Arts Council. I'm an attorney. I donate a significant amount of time to those organizations and to my city. I even do their legal work pro bono. I would like some help from this council in trying to let's slow everybody down in taking property that's mostly residential in that block of Piermont and just do it tastefully. I know a local veterinarian that's even thinking about a branch office somewhere in town, and I would welcome their location there since he happens to be my dog's vet. Anyway, I think the proposal that Councilor Jenkins has made is, it doesn't strip anybody of any rights. It simply puts some design efforts in place to try to control that. And I think anybody that uses Piermont to come home from work and gets off at that exit and goes east knows that there's already a traffic problem. If you start getting a lot of high volume places with a lot more vehicles in that block of Piermont, the next thing you're going to be doing is looking at widening Piermont. The other thing I'd like to mention just at the end here, Cedar Grove is really a neglected neighborhood in this city. And if you drive through Cedar Grove, you can see some really wonderful old historic houses in there. And we need to help Cedar Grove maintain the residential character of that neighborhood. I see people trying to renovate houses there. That's a very historic neighborhood in this city. I grew up on Southfield Road from 1954. I lived on Southfield Road. And I think if we are patient and we use care with how we allow development on the border of Cedar Grove, that maybe we can bring Cedar Grove back. It would be nice to see that happen. And I think, I don't know if they're here or not, but I had a long conversation with the head of the neighborhood association, the South Highlands Neighborhood Association. I think they support this. They told me they were going to. I don't know if they're going to be here or not. But anyway, I would urge passage. And thank you for the time to speak to you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Mayor Glover, you were a student at Southfield, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
When all that was going on?
Well, I'm actually a classmate of one John Atkins, Southfield, class of '83.
I was in the class of 1967.
But, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I just simply want to take a moment to express thanks and appreciation to Mr. Scott for taking time to come down and share his thoughts and sentiments with his council. Also want to say thank you for the commitment that you've made to engage this issue, and the time that you take to try and safeguard and protect the interests of your neighborhood. It's the kind of thing that we see in other places around the city, and whenever I have a chance to be able to see folks really involved, engaged, and committed at the grassroots level, it makes me smile, because it's those kinds of individuals that ultimately end up helping to make up a great city. So thank you. Commend Councilman Oliver Jenkins for his leadership in helping to ensure that this long, prosperous area of our city continues to be that going forward, and that we effectively manage and address the issues that challenges in that regard. And obviously, Dara, thank you for your leadership and being here as the person that's helping to usher us through this master planning effort that we started down in 2009, and effectively using it to help to effectively manage and deal with and address the issues that we have going forward as we try and continue to hopefully grow the city. One thing I hope that this year that we will have effectively contributed to the efforts in terms of where you are on the north side of Piermont, as well as for those folks on the south side of Piermont where Cedar Grove starts, that we will make that interchange, that intersection, and those thoroughfares and what have you, cleaner, more attractive places for folks to pass along, and ultimately send a signal that we want to have a higher expectation for the folks, be they homeowners or property renters or what have you, in terms of how they deal with and treat their property. So thank you, Mr. Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Thompson, do we have a confirmation today?
We have one, Mr. Chairman, Assistant City Engineer, Engineering Environmental Services, one Ms. Kathleen Autumn Permeter.
I think we had the
So
opportunity.
moved, Mr. Chairman.
We had the opportunity to meet Autumn yesterday. Have a motion by Vice Chair, second by Councilwoman McCullough for approval. Please vote.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank you again for the opportunity. Thank you, Mayor Glover and Mr. Sibley, for your recommendation, and I'd like to thank Ron Norwood and Barbara Featherston for their continued encouragement and support. And I very much appreciate this opportunity and feel very blessed, and can appreciate your consideration and vote.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And that is 6 yes, 1 absent.
Mr. Chairman, before we move forward, I believe we have a couple of gentlemen in here with their hats on, their caps on. Whenever you come into the chamber, please.
Thank you, Councilman Shine. We have no items under consent agenda for introduction. Mr. Thompson, let's continue with items to be adopted, please.
Paragraph 9, regular agenda legislation, 159, authorizes the mayor to execute an agreement with Eric Cottrell and Lewis Wallace to permit commercial turtle trapping on Cross Lake.
Mr. Chairman, at this time,
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I talked to Mr. Wallace, and they do want some more time for us to work out a few things in the contract, so it would be good to postpone it.
Mr. Chairman, if I could get a second from someone.
Second.
Okay, move to postpone.
Motion by Councilman Shine, second by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, postpone. Please vote. That is 6 yes, 1 absent.
And Dale, I have been assured that as soon as we can work out the details in this contract, We will be able to enjoy a little
that turtle soup.
Yeah, a little turtle soup.
All right, Mr. Thompson.
160 authorizes the use of certain equipment by the Susan G. Komen for the cure and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Councilman Everson, second by Councilman Oliver Jenkins. If there's no discussion, please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent.
161 authorizes the use of certain city-owned equipment by the Junior League of Shreveport.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Everson, second by Councilman Oliver Jenkins. Any discussion? If not, please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent.
162 authorizes the use of certain equipment by Sports Spectrum Race Management for the Autumn Breeze Road Race.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Councilman Jeff Everson, second by the chair. Any discussion? Please vote. 6 yes.
163 authorizes the mayor to execute a donation agreement between the city and Mike Tilton Development, acting herein through Mike Tilton for the private sewer main extension and related facilities to serve 9400 Linwood.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the chair, second by the vice chair. Any discussion? If not, please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent.
164 declares the city's interest in certain adjudicated properties as surplus.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Everson, second by vice chair. Any discussion? If not, please vote. 6 yes.
165 also declares the city's certain adjudicated properties to be surplus.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Everson, second by the vice chair. If there's no discussion, please vote. 6 yes.
Mr. Chairman, one item was added which can be considered for adoption at this time. Would you like for me to read it?
Yes, please.
It's a resolution to determine whether certain properties listed on a property standards demolition list should be demolished immediately or whether demolition should be delayed in accordance with Section 22-3 of the Code of Ordinances.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Everson, second by Councilwoman McCullough. Any discussion? If not, please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent.
Mr. Chairman, we're now in the introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to September the 24th. 166 authorizes the mayor to execute an act of release of a 10-foot wide servitude located between lots 1 and 2 of Southern Trace Phase 4, Section 20A.
Mr. Thompson, I'd like to make a motion to
Second.
remove this item from the agenda. Motion by the chair, second by the vice chair to remove item 166. Please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent.
167 authorizes the mayor to accept a FY 2012 Assistance to Firefighters Grants Program
So moved.
Prevention Safety Grant.
Second.
Motion by the vice chair, second by Councilwoman McCullough for introduction. Any discussion? If not, please vote.
Mr. Everson?
6 yes, 1 absent.
We're now in the introduction of ordinances not to be adopted prior to September the 24th. 103, it amends the 2013 capital improvements budget. And 104 is an annexation ordinance tag number 12-09. It enlarges the limits and boundaries of the city of Shreveport, an 83.83 acre tract of land located east of Wallace Lake Road and north of Southern Trace Parkway, located in Section 30, Township 16 North, Range 13 West, Caddo Parish, Louisiana.
So moved.
For introduction.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by the vice chair. Any discussion? If not, please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent.
We're now into ordinances on second reading and final passage. Number 93A amends the 2013 capital improvements budget, appropriating the funds authorized therein.
So moved.
This concerns the Sportran budget.
Motion by Councilman Everson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Oliver Jenkins. Any discussion? If not, please vote.
Mr. Everson?
6 yes, 1 absent.
Number 96 amends and reenacts Chapter 14 of the Code of Ordinances by adding Article 5 relative to foul.
I'd like to move to table and send to the
Second.
master plan committee.
Motion by Councilman Everson to table, second by Councilwoman McCullough. Any additional discussion?
Well, just let everybody know that the Master Plan Committee did meet today as well, and we had an initial discussion about this, so they're prepared for this action.
Perfect.
Jeff, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I see they had my name down there. I don't know whether it's because I guess I'm the only farm boy who's sitting here on the council. Maybe I know more about chickens than anybody else, but I think that was your piece of
We
legislation.
hope we can rely on you for some good advice.
You
You
can be
know
the,
you can.
You can be the foul consultant.
There you go.
That is 6 yes, 1 absent.
Billy Wayne, you see how many tiles I have down here, huh?
Hurry, Mr. Thompson.
Number 97 amends the 2013 capital improvements budget. This concerns water and sewer amendments.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman
Second.
Everson, second by the Vice Chair. Any discussion? Not, please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent.
Number 98 amends the 2013 general fund budget, appropriating the funds authorized therein and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
And this next one is the one that,
It's property
Care of
standards.
premise cleanups.
this is property standard, yes.
Care
so
of
moved.
premises money.
So moved. Motion by the chair.
Second.
Second by
sorry, I thought you had a
Councilman
second.
Webb.
I thought you already had one.
I'm sorry, motion by the chairman.
Then second by Councilman Webb. 6 yes, 1 absent.
Number 99 is a zoning matter C-47-13. It amends and enacts portions of Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances relative to an SPI 6 design overlay district. There is one amendment. Would you like for me to read an explanation of the amendment?
Yes, please.
It deletes references to structural renovations so that the ordinance does not apply to structural renovations and applies only to new construction, including additions that increase the building footprint or volume of habitable space by 50% more. It also adopts the map showing the properties to which the SPI 6 district applies.
So moved on the amendment.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by Councilman Everson on the amendment. Just a note that even though we refresh our electronic agenda, that amendment doesn't show up. It should.
Mine's up.
I hope you're not discriminating against the chairman.
I'm just saying, but that's okay, because you read it so well.
You basically read everything that's on that particular amendment.
That was, Councilman Everson second.
That is 6 yes, 1 absent. Is there a motion of?
So moved on the ordinance as amended.
Ordinance as amended by
Second.
Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by the Vice Chair. Please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent.
Thank you all very much.
Again, Oliver, that was quite some creativity on your part.
Credit goes to Dara.
Pass it on.
Number 100 is a zoning matter C-61-13. It amends Chapter 106-1 of Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances, which is the zoning ordinances regarding the classification of language and otherwise provided with respect thereto. There is one amendment. This amendment deletes references to definitions that are not being amended.
So moved on the amendment.
Second on the amendment.
Motion by Councilman Everson, second by Councilman Oliver Jenkins on the amendment. Any discussion? If not, please vote. Oliver. 6 yes, 1 absent on the amendment. Is there a motion?
So moved. So moved on the ordinance as amended.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by Councilman Everson, as amended. Please vote. 6 yes, 1 absent.
Ordinance number 101 is a zoning matter C-63-13. It amends Chapter 106 of the Code by rezoning property located on the south side of Bert Coons, 320 feet west of Dean Road, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, being the same is hereby changed from B2 Neighborhood Business District to B3 Community Business District with NBC approval.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Webb, second by the Vice Chair. Any discussion? If not, please vote. Six yes, 1 absent.
102 is a zoning matter, C-67-13. It amends Chapter 106 of the Code by rezoning property located on the northwest corner of Martin Luther King Drive and Hill Street extending north 300 feet on the west side of Hill Street from B3, Community Business District, and R1H, Urban One Family Residence District, to B3E, Community Business Extended Use District, limited to a storage yard, towing service, and residence only.
So move to deny.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Councilwoman McCulloch, second by the Vice Chair. Councilwoman McCulloch,
Right.
would you make some comments?
Yes, actually, on yesterday, I had Dara to actually, is Dara still here? Or she's gone already? Yeah. To see, if this was going to be good in comparison to the master plan study. And according to Dara, Dara, you want to come up and kind of share with the council?
While she's coming up,
concerning the zoning
Councilwoman,
issue.
while she's coming up, Councilwoman McCulloch, I think instead of your motion being to deny, your motion, you would make a motion that we vote on this, and your recommendation would be that we
To
vote
deny the
no.
decision of the MPC.
That we vote no.
Okay, so
Motion
I'll make a motion.
The motion will be to adopt, and people who are opposed to it and who agree with Mrs. McCullough will vote no.
No, that's correct.
And who seconded the motion?
I did.
Okay,
we'll
Ms.
The
vote on that.
distinguished gentleman from District F, Joe Shine.
Good afternoon. The information that I shared with Councilwoman McCulloch earlier was that the land use designation, the future land use designation of the master plan for this particular property is residential medium, which encourages a mixture of dwellings, a variety of different types. Sorry, go through my notes here. Our master plan also recommends better transitioning from more high-impact land uses to, lesser and lower impact land uses like residential, single-family. In this area, the surrounding neighborhood is primarily residential in nature, with a few non-residential uses here and there. So, in this particular instance, a high-impact 24-hour, private use of property could have a negative impact on the surrounding residential properties. So I would encourage you to consider that as you vote for this request.
And also, there are a couple of schools as well as churches and daycares.
Right. The majority of
Highly
the
impacted by
non-residential uses in this area are sort of institutional uses where there are daycares, churches, schools. There's a variety of lower impact non-residential uses like office buildings and some other commercial uses. But those uses are not, 24-hour uses in which, someone would be getting up in the middle of the night, pulling a car into a residential area. Now, this property owner has operated in the area, I think on the property next door, for quite some time. So in this case, you may want to consider that, but at the same time, thinking about what Mr. Scott mentioned earlier about, taking care of the uses that you introduce or allow to continue in some of your neighborhoods that are still viable. And MLK certainly is a more viable neighborhood that has received some neglect over time. And I would encourage you to be very careful about your considerations as uses continue to request to operate in this area.
Councilman Oliver Jenkins.
And not necessarily to evoke criticism on the MPC, but obviously they had a 7-1 determination in this matter. What do you think? Either was there a compelling reason to grant this, or did they not have, enough information at the time, or what?
I can't speak to that. I know that they were aware of the fact that the applicant has operated in the past. There was, I don't recall, maybe there was neighborhood opposition.
There were 5 people in opposition, along with one of the board members, Dr.
Right.
Wilson.
I do recall discussion of low traffic volume because the nature of the operation does not require the vehicle owner to go to the subject property to reclaim his or her vehicle once it's towed to the site. It's simply this business, contracting out with either the police department or a private property owner who requests a vehicle to be towed or impounded for a certain period of time. But at the same time, for how long, I would be curious as to how long a vehicle would stay impounded on the property, how many vehicles are accumulated on the property for a certain amount of time. It's a visual impact issue as well, bringing additional residences and other investment into the neighborhood. It may impede some of those decisions for others to continue to invest in this neighborhood that is still viable and that the city council still fights for.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Shine.
I see we have a young community activist and businesswoman from the Martin Luther King area.
Okay.
I was wondering if Ms. Irma Rogers wanted to say anything in regard to that.
I just got a message from Jackie that she wanted to address this issue.
Oh, I guess I was reading your mind, and Irma, I'm good at doing that now.
Yes, you were. Irma Rogers, 1920 Michoud Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71107. If this property is Mr. Doty's towing service?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I knew it had come up with MPC and there had not been a problem with it, so I thought it was not going to be a problem here today. There was a daycare center, and I think they're revitalizing and reviving, which is going to be Haley's. They did at one time operate as a 24-hour daycare. The school is going to be Newton Smith, 6th grade center. It is more than 3,000 yards away because it's going to be past David Raines Road to the northwest end, if I'm not mistaken. The other business is going to be R&R Auto Sales directly across the street. The other corner, which should be the east corner, and just past that, past Hill Street. You have to go back down to where Lake Bethlehem Street is going to be another block. Then there's LeBlanc Daycare, which is inside Lake Bethlehem Baptist Church. And primarily, I think the impetus was with the master plan to make MLK more of a business corridor. So that's why at the meeting, at the Martin Luther King Community Development Corporation meeting, there was no opposition to this because it was to upgrade a business and to, bring more business into the community. So we did not have any opposition at this time to it because with the future range of having MLK becoming your business corridor, there was not. The closest housing is going to be back up the block. It's going to be past, I think, 2955. It's going to be past that, maybe 2957 or 59 before you get to, it's past another corner before you get to a home. So that whole strip on the side where this property is,
Will be for business.
it's business. It's already business. And across the street is business. Now, if you come back the other way, there are some homes closer to Ione Street and going back down towards Audrey Lane, there are homes in that area. But where this is in this particular block, there are not.
Councilwoman McCall.
Well, actually, what I reviewed was the people that stood in opposition before the MPC. And of course, you're familiar with Dr. Wilson. She's a member of the MLK CDC.
Yes.
And she was one that spoke in opposition or voted against it,
Okay.
along with the other 5. So for that reason,
We were saying, I'll have to review, I did not review any of that information. I'll speak with her.
Did you attend the MPC meeting?
No, I sent my information. I spoke to Mr. Clark, but I will,
Dr. Wilson.
I will talk with her directly and see, because I know there was some fencing and other issues, and I think he's already working on that, but I'll speak with her directly and find out. But my understanding that it was a majority vote, so I did not really question it.
Councilwoman McCulloch, have you had a chance to talk to the...
He hasn't talked with me at all, and I see him all the time.
Did you want to
Would you like to postpone or move
I
forward?
think I'll go ahead and do that. Move to
I'll second your
postpone.
motion to postpone.
Motion by Councilwoman McCullough, second by the Vice Chair to postpone. No discussion, please vote.
And Ms. Rogers, thank you for coming down. You see, I said that earlier, you are a young community activist, businesswoman.
Chairman, those are all of
I've been told that you're not as old as the mayor.
Mr. Thompson, do we have any table legislation to
when I
come
was a
off our
senior,
agenda
Mr.
today?
I'm not aware of it, Mr. Chairman.
We have no property standards
We
appeals,
know I look for a big cake.
no ABO appeals today, no zoning appeals. Are there any reports from officers, boards, and committees?
Dale, you learn from that, yeah?
Always. If there are no reports, Mr. Thompson, the all-important clerk's report.
Mr. Chairman.
Wait, just a minute. Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Oliver, since we got TV going today, why don't you give your report again? Because I had a couple of more calls from taxi drivers and you know, you have some that will be listening in.
Certainly, Mr. Shine. And I mentioned this yesterday, but good point that not everybody was tuned in yesterday to Ustream. We did have a Public Safety Committee meeting last week. The primary impetus of that specific meeting was to discuss insurance regarding the taxi cab industry. After some very healthy discussion with several of the vested stakeholders in that particular industry, we have opted to give them some time to provide us data with regard to what impact this raised insurance rate might have on their business. Also look at different types of insurance umbrellas to accommodate what we are interested in doing, and that is clearly to protect our citizens, but we don't want to make it so burdensome on the taxi industry that we make it a hardship for them to continue operating, because they do provide a valuable service to our constituents. So we're trying to balance that, and working hand in hand with those taxi operators. Just three other things that we mentioned briefly were the Moose Lodge and how they handle alcohol consumption outdoors. Secondly, parade routes and fireworks ordinance. So those were the overall the four issues we discussed, but mostly relative to the taxi industry.
Very well done, again.
Thank you, Mr. Shine. Your support is greatly appreciated.
If there are no other reports from committees, Mr. Thompson, this is an all-important clerk's report because there's a lot riding on this for you.
There is. I hope that was made clear in an email.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. I've been notified that my medi-vacation is at risk, and therefore I need to give this report. When I came into the chamber, I noticed that there was a large ladder in the chamber, and I immediately saw that that could be a liability for the council.
This is quite the stretch. I'll
You're paying for this.
And so I made a phone call to Shelley and got it removed, and I just knew that the council would be very grateful that I was able to do that.
We appreciate your commitment to safety. Is there a motion for the council to resolve itself in committee of the whole? Second by, motion by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by the Vice Chair. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the August 27th meeting? Motion by Councilman Oliver Jenkins, second by Councilman Webb. Okay, I don't think we've cleared our previous vote yet, have we?
Well, that was the vote to go into committee of the whole, but nobody voted. So,
Couldn't tell by the enthusiasm.
Well, we're there.
Without objection.
We went into committee of the whole without. Mr. Mayor, any additional communications?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, I would just simply reiterate those from the earlier portion of the meeting. This coming Friday and Saturday, we will have the third annual Battle on the Border, 2 days of high school football games in Independence Stadium. 2 games starting at 6 o'clock on Friday, 3 games on Saturday. 10 teams in total that will come from Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi, and some of the very finest high school talent that you will find anywhere, and a chance for the local boys to be able to show the out-of-town guys exactly how we play football here in Shreveport, Bossier, and Northwest Louisiana. You will even have some LSU signees, or commitments rather, too early to sign. That's not until the first Wednesday in February, but you have some very top level, not just Louisiana regional talent, but national talent that will be engaged in this. And more important than all of that, there are some outstanding students. And I also want to express appreciation, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, to Mr. Denny Rogers and all the folks over at Landers Dodge for their continued support of high school athletics here in Shreveport, Bossier, and in particular their title sponsorship, again for the 3rd year of the Battle on the Border. Had not been for the support of Denny Rogers and his team at Landers, along with the vision of 2 individuals, Wendell Delaney, a former member of the Shreveport Police Department who after 20 plus years has gone on into retirement, as well as our own Patrick Wesley. These 2 folks got together and have essentially been the ones who have developed this concept, and it has been highly successful and continues to grow. And so we look forward to that great experience. We also, on those same 2 days, if you get tired of football, you can come down and join me for the dragon boat races. I'll be in the one-man heat. So we definitely want to encourage folks to come down and have a chance to be able to enjoy that. If you don't know what a dragon boat is, please come down, take a look, and enjoy. It's all free, but it raises money as well for a great cause, the Cattle Pair Schools, and so we encourage folks to come out and have a chance to be able to participate in that. Before we will meet again, Mr. Chairman, the 2013 version rather of DigiFest South will take place on the 20th and the 21st in Bossier, and also in the Red River District at Cohab, which will officially open its doors in its new location on the 20th of September, as well as the Robinson Film Center here on Texas Street and other points around the area. It's a great opportunity to come out and learn about the knowledge-driven economy of our future and all the great companies who are here, like Moonbot and Twin Engines and others that are helping to transform this area and this region. And we want to express appreciation to the folk at the Bossier Arts Council for their leadership in helping to initiate and sponsor that effort. Also mention to you that we will observe the 50th anniversary of the civil rights efforts here in Shreveport on the 18th to the 22nd of September at various locations across the city of Shreveport, including Booker T. Washington High School, the Little Union Baptist Church, along with the Galilee Baptist Church, as well as ultimately culminating activities on the night of September 22nd at the Riverview Theater on the Shreveport riverfront. We want to encourage all those children, students, seniors, those who were there and a part and have memories and recollections to come out to share, engage, and give thanks for those who sacrifice, and also share with those folks who are still looking to understand how it is that we manage to continue to advance and go forward. I want to also again, Mr. Chairman, acknowledge that this week, the 8th through the 13th, is International Housekeepers Week. So for those folks who help to keep us all neat and in order and properly focused, clean, and effectively addressed with all the public spaces that we occupy, from this building to all the other various assets within the public realm, we want to express our great appreciation for them and all that they do. Outstanding work, and we will look forward to continuing to celebrate and observe the week with them as we go forward. Also mention to you, Mr. Chairman, that on October 6th through the 8th, we will be embarking on our second intercity visit to Birmingham. Have got a great lineup of folks over there who are anxious to meet and to share with us, to learn more about what's happening here in Shreveport, and also share with us some of the great things that are happening within Birmingham, especially within the healthcare sector, the melding of universities and health science centers, and how that ultimately results in the fact that you have a complex there in Birmingham that ranks as in the top 5 university hospitals in the entirety of the United States of America. So we look forward to that effort, and certainly welcome and would appreciate all council participation. Councilwoman McCullough and Councilmember Everson were gracious enough to join us in Oklahoma City back in 2011. We certainly would welcome them, and again, any others whose schedules might allow. And then lastly, Mr. Chairman, I have to again express deep condolences at the passing of our friend Kojo Livingston, and send our prayers to him, his wife, his children, and our community as a whole. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mayor Glover.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to piggyback on the football. Mr. Mayor, I'm also told that right down the road, going east of here on I-20, there's a football factory down there at Grambling State University, and that they, Stephen, that they will have some of their coaches over, and because I know some of the kids who will be playing that weekend will probably want to go to Grambling. So we'll have some coaches over to look at some of them, and if they see some prospects, they'll talk to them about coming to Grambling.
No doubt, Mr. Chairman, that and Mr. Vice Chairman, that there are several members of the current Grambling squad, as well as several other college teams across the state and across the country, who have young men who played on these teams just this past year.
That's right.
And there is quite a lineup of talent that's on these teams. Just to give you a point of connection, for those of us in this building, if you see Mr. Everett Harris, who is the Director of Animal Control for the parish of Caddo, he is the uncle of one Brandon Harris, who is the only quarterback being recruited by Louisiana State University this year. He has expressed a verbal commitment to them and expects to join the Tigers on next year's squad. You also have an outstanding defensive back who is the son of one Paul Pratt of Chesapeake. For those of you who are familiar with Mr. Pratt, his son is a hard-hitting safety who tells me he's going to bring some lumber come Saturday, and expects to leave splinters all over Independence Stadium. So again, we look forward to having you all come out there, support these young folks, welcome our out-of-state visitors, and see how we can continue to grow this into a great quality event. I would add to that, Mr. Chairman, one thing I'm not quite sure if you all are aware of, but give credit to Kelly Wells and the folks at the Shreveport Bossier Sports Commission, as well as Stacy Brown at the Convention and Visitors Bureau, as well as other coaches within this area. The Louisiana High School Athletic Association will, for the first time in its history, conduct its All-Star game on the weekend following the state championships in New Orleans. And so on the weekend of the 14th, they'll play the state championships in the Superdome. The high school All-Star game will be played the following Saturday here in Shreveport, Louisiana. That's a game that's been played for years, but as Coach Shine could tell you, they used to do it back in the spring. You had kids that hadn't played football in months coming back out to ask them to play ball again. This time you're going to catch them right at the end of the season. They'll still be in shape, still be fresh, and folks will still be focused on football, and we expect that's going to be something that hopefully will build into something very special in the years to come.
And the prediction is that we'll have great weather. I got that from Dale Sibley.
Weatherman.
Thank you, Coaches Glover and Shine. Any other comments?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you too.
Mr. Mayor, I understand you had an article in the paper last week or week before last about the cleanup of our city. I missed the article. I don't know if you read it or know about it, but anyway, I've been getting some calls about the cleanliness of our city not being so. I didn't know. I know it's not going to be an overnight fix, but I didn't know if what we have in line or what's in store to start getting the message out to people. I thought about when our lady was here from the school board, you know, maybe we need to start with the schools even. I think about all around the schools in my district, how the trash, you know, from the Circle K to the schools seems to be quite heavy, and
maybe that'd be a good starting point to get that word out to the kids in the school to help us keep our city clean, and when they grow up, maybe they won't be throwing their litter out the car window. But I didn't know, what's in store for trying to get the message out to the people to help us keep our city clean. I know it's going to have to be a joint effort, but can't just come out of the mayor's office, I know, but.
No, it's going to have to take a great public and private effort, Mr. Webb. Certainly appreciate you asking the question. It was, I don't know if where she is. She may be sitting out out in the lobby area, but it was a story that was written by Michelle Marquette, the young lady who covers local government for the Times, and it came as an extension of a discussion that I had with her colleagues at the editorial board over at the Shreveport Times. We're essentially talking about the issues that I thought was facing the city right now, one of which happened to be the fact that I think that we've got to do a much better job of how it is that we marshal city resources, and also what it is that we do in terms of expectations of our citizens to effectively address our litter problem in the city of Shreveport. And that we especially think, and it's something that myself and Dale and the folks within on my staff that we're talking about right now, that we want to engage you guys in as we go through this year's budget process, as well as looking at things that we can do between now and the end of the year that's going to give us an opportunity to be able to, one, start with downtown, to make sure that we keep downtown as clean and as neat looking as possible. And then we're going to extend from there. We're going to go out to what we consider to be the boulevards of our community. That's I-20 within the city limits of Shreveport, and I-49 within the city limits of Shreveport. Both of those right now are simply unacceptable in terms of their condition. The one help that we get from the state right now is that they come in and contract a sweeping service once a month that comes in and sweeps, but it doesn't take very long for that to get back to a condition that's completely unacceptable. We also are going to have to figure out how we manage to be able to ensure that all the grass and other vegetation that grows up out the median and the cracks and what have you, and all the other trash that gets accumulated along the road itself at the interchanges, how we ultimately end up taking better care of that. One of the good things that's in line with that effort is that, and Councilman Everson has been tracking this, I think, since he got here, we have gotten funding for some landscaping projects for portions of our interchanges along I-49. We've got plans right now that are back before the state that are being reviewed and ultimately approved that's going to give us the ability to be able to address that. One of our challenges that we've got to come up with is how we end up ensuring that we've got a proper water access to keep all of that in good condition. And so downtown, the major corridors along 49 and 20, and then from there we've got to go out to the major medians up and along Shreveport. The Southfield roads, the Pines roads, the Burt Coonses, all those different places. Well, right now, instead of cutting and trimming and keeping the grass and debris and cigarette butts and everything else off the curbs and off the medians and what have you, it's now just matting there. We've got to clean that up, and then once we get it clean, we got to keep it clean. And then once we, or as we are making our commitment to do that at the public level, I'm also getting with the chief, and we're talking about how it is that we're going to communicate consistently and effectively without anyone thinking that we're setting quotas, because we won't do that. We don't do that. But how it is that we're going to help folks in this city understand that when you throw a McDonald's bag out the window, and you do so without impunity, that there are going to be consequences of that. That we're going to look to cite you, that citation represents a mandatory court appearance, and you're going to end up being one of those folks that we also will be able to utilize, as we can find more of those as well, to come out and be a part of those court-ordered trash picking cleanup crews that help us clean up the streets, the roads, the byways, and what have you. Then the other thing that may be an element of that is that we have some illegal dumping sites that we potentially could propose using some levels of technology that help us keep an eye on and monitor. I'm an old country boy like you guys. I don't like to hunt Bambi, but I have on occasion. I know one of the best effective ways to know where they're coming and going is to put out the technology that allows you to be able to see what's happening in rather secluded areas. We've got some of those isolated dumping areas that we may put under some form of surveillance or not, but we want to catch some folks doing what they're doing. come in and let folks know that there are consequences for that, and make those folks an example of how it is that we want this to be a better place. We're hoping, and I'm kind of wrestling with Dale and Sharika and Stan. I'm hoping that come December 1st, when we're no longer picking up the expense of collecting Bozier's garbage, that's going to make available to us some dollars, some manpower, and what have you, that we'll be able to also deploy towards helping us handle and address some of the public aspects of this
I was
responsibility.
hoping maybe we might look at putting 3-4-man crew on a graveyard shift that would maybe clean up major intersections throughout the city.
Yeah.
I mean, when you go to the intersections and you look, you can see the turn lanes and where the tire wheels never roll. It's built up with pieces of lumber, flat Coke cans, beer cans, you know, whatever. I mean, we could clean up 4 or 5 intersections in a night, and all throughout the city. And to me, that would make our city look a lot cleaner right there in itself. Just clean up our major intersections.
That is also part of the discussion as well. And again, that's part of it. We look to get feedback from as we go through the budget process, because one of the things that's been suggested and proposed is that when we look at some of the money that we use to contract for some of our grass trimming, that we might be able to get a better use of those dollars by actually having some city crews balance that against lesser that we appropriate for the contract work, and be able to have a greater flexibility in terms of cutting weeded lots, while at the same time be able to come in and do some of that public infrastructure work, just like you talked about. So bottom line of it is, we expect it to get better. We are committed to it getting better. We have done more with less in terms of our staffing and budgeting, going back to 2008, 2009. But none of that will, from my perspective, allow us to not end up, one, holding the city more accountable, and consequently also holding our citizens more accountable for how it is that the city ultimately ends up looking.
Well, the sheriff used to have some billboards, or he rented bus benches or whatever in reference to if you saw someone littering, you'd call a certain number and they'd issue my citation. I don't know how well that would hold up in
Well,
court,
that's a part of the equation as well, and that's a part of what we are looking to hopefully.
I don't see that anymore. So.
Well, I think part of what we got to make sure of is that we know exactly what happens when that number is dialed, and that we're actually acting on that.
Yeah.
In fact, there's some examples of some anti-littering campaigns that I've shared with the staff that I want us to look at, and that ultimately end up helping folks to be empowered to help proactively address. In fact, there's one great one that the state of Washington did that's called If You Litter, It Will Cost You. And essentially what it shows you are individuals who are on the verge of being about to litter, whether that's throw a cigarette butt out the window or toss out a soda can or what have you, and you see citizens in the surrounding vicinity who are looking at them, and they have their cell phones out in their hands, and ultimately the commercial comes back and says, if you litter, it will cost you. And it gives a number for people to call to report people who litter, but it also details what the consequences are if you do litter. And for us here in Shreveport, one of those consequences is you can have more inconvenience for a litter citation than you have for a speeding ticket, because here in Shreveport now, if we cite you for littering, you can't just come in and send in your check and pay your check. You got to come visit.
Mandatory court appearance.
Mandatory court appearance. You got to come sit and visit. And I think, as I have heard, the judges sometimes save those folks for the last ones who are dealt with on that particular date. But between now and the end of the year, we look to continue to engage you guys, and definitely appreciate the feedback and the suggestions. And we've gotten excellent feedback as well from several of our civic leaders.
I know I'm getting several calls. I don't know if other council members are, but it seems like it's increased. So I know people are starting to take notice that it's not improving, it's going downhill. So it's kind of like going back to that broken window theory.
Absolutely.
When you first came up with, pull up to an intersection, you see a bunch of trash. Well, what's one more piece?
Well, and that's kind of the irony of it, is that while we have focused considerable more resources on helping address people in the neighborhoods. For instance, if you are a neighbor who has a weeded lot or some other issue that's within the context of your neighborhood, the city has done and has at its disposal right now more resources to address that issue than we ever have in the city's history. At the same time that we've increased that interior focus on the neighborhoods, we have decreased our focus on the exterior areas that represent all of our common areas, common neighborhood, common connections.
All right, thank you.
Councilman McCullough.
Yes, I wanted to, Mayor Glover, I don't know if you're aware, but I'm sure Dale Sibley and a lot of your staff is aware that I want to take this opportunity to commend Debbie Martin and Bruce Roberts, who are members of the North Shreveport Business Association, who have actually launched a cleanup along the north gate of the city of Shreveport, which is in my district. Based on the observations that I've seen, it's really looking a lot better. Thank you, Dale Sibley. Thank you, Property Standards, Mr. Green, all of your staff. We met with them concerning this community-wide cleanup. It's going to be so important, as we have shared in the past, that the citizens take a role in participating and helping with the cleanup. I think it's going to be also so important that other associations be aware that we do help provide resources, not so much as doing the cleanup within the neighborhoods, but you know, if the communities would let us know that they need some assistance, that they need resources after planning or doing the planning of their cleanup, that the city is available to assist. I really admired Oliver in his district, the community-wide effort that was taken out off Kings Road to do a cleanup out in that area. And so I would just like for citizens within District 8 to somewhat mimic the same idea. It's not just left up to city to clean up the mess. It's left up to you as the citizens to initiate the cleanup, and just know that it's the city that provides the resources to help you bag the junk or haul it off. But it's going to be so important that the citizens, as you said, Mayor Glover, know that we're going to need their help as well.
That's it. Any other comments from council members? If not, we'll...
Just one. Are you going to move to Sammy Mears?
I'm headed that way.
Okay, well, let me just say before you invite him up, I see that Mr. Thompson is pushing forward with some personal nomination on his behalf for a mayor's award for saving us potentially of a hazard with a ladder. But I hope that Sammy is here to discuss briefly his personal involvement with a public safety issue in the city today.
And at this time, we are in public comments, and we recognize Mr. Sammy Mears.
Mr. Chairman, am I to understand that Sammy has saved someone again?
Well, he's been involved. He's been involved.
Excellent.
Maybe more significantly than a ladder, in fact.
Hey.
Please.
All right.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, Shreveport, Louisiana 71101. And as Arthur mentioned, he saw the ladder. I just thought the ladder invited itself to the meeting. I'm glad I was wrong. But I did want to read a statement that was in the Inquisitor. I believe that Sammy Mears, after 25 years of helping MDA, should hopefully get some kind of an Outstanding Citizen Award from Mayor Glover, or even the Mayor of Excellence Award, because people who do good things, they have gotten things as well from Mayor Glover. And I believe that Sammy Mears, after helping MDA for 25 years now, should get that same award. I've been watching him on the city council dozens of times. It's his turn now for an award, so if Cedric Glover hears about this or sees this, Sammy Mears is next. Well, this was in the Inquisitor. I went to the store just as of the other day to turn some change over to cash at Coinstar, and I thought as long as I was at the store, I'd just take a sneak peek at the Inquisitor and see the gripies who had something to complain about, because they always do. And then when I noticed that my name was in here, I thought it was some kind of a cranky joke or something. Unfortunately, it wasn't. Someone just didn't know how to staple their lips shut, but I'm glad that they did this for me, because I guess maybe it was something that I didn't expect. I'm just glad that they did, because, I mean, after 25 years of MDA, it's really a good cause, and I will always continue helping as much as possible. And on the same note, something did happen last week on September 4th at 8:45 a.m. at the bus terminal. And Cedric, I think I might have said something before about this. If not, you deserve to know. There was a man at 8:45 a.m. who had passed out, and I was at the information booth, and I saw this, and I said, oh my word. I told them immediately that somebody had passed out, and they called 911. to come down there at once. And they talked to the man, and I told him, I said, on the 911's on the way, so don't worry, you'll be okay. And they got there and they asked him questions, and they put him on a stretcher. I don't know what hospital he was taken to. I don't even know his name. I'm just glad I was in the right place at the right time. And then the supervisor there asked if anyone saw what had happened. So I let the supervisor know that I saw everything that I just told. And I said, maybe I'll get something. And Cedric, that's where you came in, because he said he might just give you a call or email you about this. I don't know if he did or not, but if he didn't, I'd make sure that I said something so you'd know.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Senator.
And, Mr. Mayor, I am told, I guess this kind of leaked from your office, that you do have an award coming forward. I don't want to tell you who leaked that, Dale, but it was kind of leaked, Mr. Mayor, that you
don't want to spoil a surprise.
That's right, that you probably, okay. Okay, I'm sorry. There you go. I talk too much.
And I understand, Cedric, that you're going to be in that dragon race?
I'm going to be there cheering everyone on.
Well, I'd like to be there, except I might be regrettably unavailable. Thank you. Incidentally, I got that from the Bewitched program, because one time Samantha said, Mother, I need to talk to you. And she sent a note saying, tell your chivalrous husband that I'm regrettably unavailable. And she said, oh, you're exasperating. And then the note changed and said, guess who made me that way? Thank you.
Now, Sammy, I am hoping that the middle portion of the council, I might be able to convince the vice chair, the chair, and our first chairman for this council. I need a counterbalance in that vote. See, if I'm on one end, it kind of tends to go up on me. So I end up kind of not getting very far. So if I can manage to get a couple other fellows to get on the other end and keep it where it'll stay flat in the water, I think I might be able to get through my heat on Saturday. So
Well, I tell you what,
no wonder I worry about you.
I'll be happy to ride in front if you're providing the horsepower in the back. I'm free for a little ride down the river.
I guess I'm in. Here we go. Council will now recognize Mr. Billy Wayne.
To Council Chair, Mr. Corbin, to the File Assistant Chair, Councilman Shine, or was it Keeper of the File, one or the other, Honorable Mayor Glover, and to you, the members of this esteemed council. My name is Billy Wayne. I reside at 6144 Farrington Court, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71129. I am the president of the Fairway Forest Neighborhood Association, and I have with me today two of our leadership persons in Mr. Olivia Hilaire and Mr. Henry Sanford. We are here today because of an issue that is of vital importance to residents in our area. I would like to read for you a communication that was sent out on May 20th, 2013 to our leaders in the area. To Councilman Ron Webb, Commissioner Stephanie Lynch, State Representative Barbara Norton, the residents of Fairway Forest neighborhood located in Louisiana House District 3, Cattle Commission District 7, and City Council District E would like to ask our elected officials, when may we expect some street repairs to be done on the Pines Road from Buncombe Road south to the railroad tracks at Risa Community? The constant poor patchwork on this section is tearing up vehicles and posing major safety issues as motorists continue to swerve to miss the potholes and almost collide with one another into oncoming traffic. The citizens in this area of each of your districts will appreciate the coming together of each of you to remedy this accident waiting to happen. Also, Councilman Webb, the Fairway Forest Neighborhood Association residents would like to have Masters Drive repaired. Thanks to each of your offices for a timely response to your constituents. This communication was sent back on May 20th. Commissioner Stephanie Lynch replied, and she met with us, and she gave us some of the particulars of what would be involved. State Representative Barbara Noen met with us, and she gave us some of the particulars of what would be involved. Our question today is, Mr. Webb, did you receive this email?
I think I did, and I think I called y'all, was it not on a Saturday?
We have no record of any communication received.
I'm talking about the meeting. Was it held on a Saturday?
That was in reference to another issue. That was in reference to the redistricting. This particular email was sent on May 20th, and a subsequent email was sent in July. And we were just concerned because as we stand and we watch these persons and we're standing out, we're looking at people swerving to miss these. Then there's another variable here. There are students in the morning who are standing at bus stops at the intersection of Master Drive and Pines Road. Traffic coming north, headed south, is swerving around. Traffic coming south, heading north, is swerving around, and the kids are standing there on the side. It is a grave issue that the citizens of Fairway Forest is interested in, and we would like to have some kind of conversation with you like we did with Ms. Lynch and Ms. Norton to see if we can get something done in regards to this accident waiting to happen.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up in a meeting. I've been trying to get somebody to come down here, Billy Wayne, just like you have now. We've been trying to get Pines Road overlaid for 2 or 3 years, and there just hasn't been money to do it. And I know I call Mike Woods almost weekly, and according to him, they're out there almost daily, repairing the potholes, which that's strictly all it is almost a daily repair. And every time we get a good rain, which thank goodness we hadn't had any of that much as far as the road goes, because it would be in a whole lot worse shape than it is. I know it needs overlaying. It's been needing overlaying for quite a few years, and it's a priority 1 on the list, and the administration is the one that's got to give us the money to do it, and I would overlay it tomorrow if they'd let us have the money to do it. But I don't know what to tell you when it's going to be done, because all I can do is just do what streets that we have the money to do with, and there's never been any money in the last 3 or 4 years to do Pines Road.
Well, you've done quite a bit today by addressing it. What we were concerned about is prior to this time, we had never heard from you. And some of the residents were just concerned about the fact that we sent out several communications and no responses. But thank you.
You're welcome.
Chairman?
Mayor Glover.
Councilman Webb, and I'm going to have Stan to confirm for me, but if memory serves me correct, Councilman Webb and Mr. Wayne, I believe, and Jeff, as Chairman of Infrastructure, you may be able to confirm, I believe that this section of Pines Road is on the minor asphalt arterial list. That's correct? Stan is telling me?
I believe it's in phase 2, or is it in phase 1?
It's in phase 2, I think.
But you are correct. I was thinking the same thing, and I don't know if it's this whole stretch that they're talking about, but at least a portion of it is on that schedule to be done as soon as the funds become available.
Council members, we'll confirm which particular portion that is, if it includes this section of Pines Road and that phase of it. That's about $5+ million worth of work that will be done. It is currently out for bid. Based on the state statute, the bids are not due until the 10th of October. That's when we will receive and open bids. Don't know if this particular stretch, Mr. Wayne, is on that package of work. But if it is, then we will know in short order. And then at that point, bids are due on the 10th of October. And then work will be able to commence once the lowest bidder is confirmed and contract is negotiated and work commences after that.
If they don't all come in over bid.
Well, and they don't all come in over bid. The good news is, I believe, is that based upon the current circumstances, I think we're actually getting some pretty good prices on some of our road work. So we got our fingers crossed that some of this work comes in actually under bid, and it gives us more available dollars to do more projects. So we'll confirm. We know it's on either the first phase or the second phase. If it's in the first phase and it's in the package, the bids are due on the 10th of October.
Simply asking for some communication so that we will know where we stand.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor Glover. Councilman Webb. Council will now recognize Ms. Nettie Brown.
And
As Ms. Brown comes up, I said to my former teacher, I did know that he was no longer in House District 4. I think that's unfortunate that he no longer resides in what was one of the best House districts in the state of Louisiana. So.
Fear of incriminating myself, I will make a comment.
Ready?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Nettie.
It's okay? I'm Nettie Brown, and I reside at 9307 Kildare Park Road, Shreveport, 71118-3529. How's that for an old girl? Joe Shine, where are you?
Yeah,
I always pick up a few things that y'all say to get spinning off. So you were talking about all the young people that came up. I'm young at heart.
Thank you, Nettie. Thank you.
And also, I heard somebody was talking about the resources. Humans are the biggest resources the city has. So that's what we're here about today, the human resources. Before I get started, I had a number of all city employees that are here today. Would you stand up for a minute? My 3 minutes won't start until I get through with them. Some of them left, okay? So y'all give yourselves a hand. Good job.
Nettie, I want to give them a hand for you to get that many city employees down.
Oh, some had to go to their second jobs, and some had to go home and take care of the babies, and some just had to go. I had one young lady that really wanted to speak because she's a survivor of breast cancer. She can't get insurance because her salary is too low, and she's a single parent by divorce, and so she had to go and pick up her kids, and she wanted to come up and, give you all a little
You mentioned
insight.
something about somebody going a second job. Now, is that because we're not paying them enough?
Well, I don't know. I don't. Is that so, people? Okay, I don't know. I just like to work.
No.
I've been working so long. I just love to. I say my address is 9307 Kildare Park Road, but my address more wake hours are at 3205 Blanchard Road at the water plant. Those are my wake hours from 6 to 6:37, whatever.
Okay.
But so much for that. I'm here because we just think it's time for. We think it's time for you all to honor promises that were made to us some years ago. Under the Hightower administration, he had a great idea about privatizing. So he ran down here and he wanted to privatize. Let's privatize. So what happened, the city spent $1.5 million at that time to streamline the workforce. In other words, they cut half, this was in water and sewer. They cut about half of the workers out, and they told us, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to cut half the workers out, and we're going to, therefore you'll be able to make more money, but you'll be working harder because we're going to have half of the work. And they cut the half of the workers out, okay? And we set up the merit pay plan. The plan was set up so that even in lean times, and another thing, it was going to be merit. Not just because you on the job, if you didn't do nothing, you weren't going to get nothing. They do this little diagram, that 10% over here that's not going to do nothing, that 10% over here that's going to be superstars, and then the other 80 who would meet expectations. And that was what we look forward to. But not shortly after it got started, it was just dropped. They didn't say, we're not going to give you a raise. That was the end of that merit pay plan. And it did something to the incentive, but the people tend to work harder. The people that really are going to work, they tend to work harder even without getting those merits. We got a few cost of living. God bless her soul. Ms. Bowman worked very hard. Mr. Shan, some of you others did too, to give us a little cost of living raises of 2%, which we were very grateful. We're not without gratitude. But now we put this petition together, and these are the names of some of them. All of them are not in yet. We're going to leave this with you. And the reason I'm here is I'm the employee rep elected since 1991. Some of you might want to learn how to keep winning. I can tell you all about it. You take care of your constituents, okay? And even though I'm a boss, I'm like the undercover. Have y'all seen the show, The Undercover Boss?
Yeah.
See, they don't have oh gosh, you need to watch that. what happened is that the bosses were wondering why productivity was down and thing, and they go out and they pretend like they're workers and they work with people and they find out. I mean, invariably, these bosses end up with tears in their eyes when they listen to the stories of these people who are making these measly pennies but are making millions for them. They, you know, and even looking back, I did research on Mr. Marriott Hotels. Mr. Marriott loved his employees. He took care of his his employees. And what? They made millions for him. So let's think about that. When we're talking about all these different problems, cleaning up the city, yeah, I pick up paper sometimes at the grocery store myself. I don't have to, but I can't stand a sloppy grocery store. If I got to spend my money there, I think it ought to look good. And as far as the Sheriff Prater, I'm an auxiliary deputy on the side, so we are allowed to tell Chief Prater, if we see somebody littering, we put their license plate down and they can get a citation, or they can be investigated. So there is a program that we can continue on. And as far as cleaning up, this has got to be people buying into, like Mayor Glover had that buckle up. Everybody started buckling up, okay? So let's clean up. It's just that simple. We get people to understand that we don't want trash on the ground. Once our fine employees have cleaned up, it's like somebody walking on your floor. If you ever mop the floor and somebody come walking on, you want to hit them with the mop. But, you know, we can't do that. Oh, anyway, so the petition, I'm not going to read this because I've probably been up here too long already, but I will read the letter from the chairman of the board. All of the board members were not able to come here today. Mr. Williams, in fact, had to go to a doctor's appointment, and Miss Critcher is off on her events, and I couldn't find Mr. White. So this is to the mayor and city council, city of Shreveport, Louisiana, from Mr. Larry Williams, Human Resource Board Chairman, the Classified Service, city of Shreveport. Mr. Williams says, the board and I will be working with the Human Resources Department to find responsible ways of affording raises for those very much appreciated employees. One of our goals is to reestablish the merit pay plan so that employees who perform their duties in an acceptable or to above average manner will be rewarded accordingly. The board is concerned with all matters that affect the classified service. We greatly appreciate any consideration that the administration council can give to these concerns. Signed, Larry Lee Williams, Human Resource Board Chairman. So I'm going to leave these petitions, y'all can, this is not all of them, but I'm going to leave these here with you. And I have an envelope for the mayor with that letter. And one for the city council. And one for Human Resources to pass out to the other board members who are not present. We couldn't all meet together because that's a quorum.
Exactly. I get it.
So just the two of us met. And I'm going to leave these petitions with
Miss Jackie there.
And we'll send the rest of them to you together. Now, I will be moving on. Anything else on my notes? This is Young at Heart, Human Resources, okay. Mr. Hightower is gone. Okay. Oh, contracting. Yeah, contracting is great. The people come in, they do your job, and might do a good job, and they might not. But employees have ownership. It's like renting and buying. Employees have ownership because they work for the city. That's where they get their benefits. You know, that's where they get their salaries. And the bottom line and the main thing is that everybody, most of the employees are extremely grateful to have jobs in the days like this. So it's not like we're down here complaining. We're down here telling you how you can get better productivity, you can get better everything by showing appreciation for your employees. And when y'all get a chance, I'm not a preacher, James 5:4 tells a story. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Ms. Brown, and certainly I think council and administration both appreciate when a person like yourself comes down and brings issues to the forefront and offers some solutions along with those complaints. We appreciate it very much.
And Mr. Chairman, let me say, Nettie, just before you go to your seat, you have really been a tremendous representative of the employees of the city for a long time. I know you're young at heart.
Yeah. 1991,
Right.
re-elected.
That's exactly right. And I just want to let you know that we appreciate you coming down. And you've always done an excellent job. And I just want to say this to the employees out there. If you all are smart, you keep on electing Nettie.
Now, oh, I forgot one more thing. I forgot I had one employee that I had to write up. And you know why I had to write her up? It's because we are very short-handed in the lab right now. She wants to come out after hours and work and not on the clock. And I get in there and say, you're not supposed to work, not on the clock. She said, well, Miss Brown, I just didn't get a chance to, because we got training new people. You know, I just hired a guy with a PhD in chemistry, and we got goals for him because we got a lot of instrumentation. The city is going to benefit by paying these employees and keeping them. I just saw a guy, from, I think, IT. He was making 33,000, something like that. He's gone somewhere making 87. Well, all that stuff we're putting in these people, you know, we training them, we getting them ready for somebody else. We don't want to do that, do we? Yeah. We might have to pay 87,000, but we can come about these measly salaries for these people who are working very hard for you all, for your constituents, okay? Because I talk to your constituents about a lot of things, not just water. I have people calling me about, my trash can broke. Ms. Brown, yep, get your trash can. You know, and we work very, very hard. I mean, we really do. So, I'm through.
Thank you, Nettie.
Mr. Chairman?
Mayor Glover.
Ms. Nettie, before you leave, I want to offer some comments as well. You can stay, whichever you plan to do. Want to first of all say, like has been expressed, appreciate you coming down to share this sentiment with the council and with the administration. You have and continue to do an outstanding job of effectively representing the interest of the folks who elect you to represent them, the city employees. But I also want to make sure that you understand, as well as them, as well as the public in general, is that the reason as to why you haven't seen significant pay raises for city employees dating back to the 2008-2009 budget cycle is because Shreveport, just like other cities across the country right now, from a revenue standpoint, we're just simply not in a position to be able to carry on that annual ritual of the 2%, 4% or greater raise as had been a tradition for many communities leading up to that point, including Shreveport. As it stands right now, we have a statutory obligation to address an annual 2% with regard to our civil service folks, and we are bound by law to do that. We have a desire, an intense desire, to be able to increase and offer better salaries, more competitive salaries, and what have you. But to do so would put us in a position where these council members would be asked to approve budgets that would ultimately result in many of their fellow employees being laid off in order to provide the resources necessary in order to be able to make that happen. We have to balance those desires, that intent, also with issues like ensuring that we have sufficient funding within the city's reserve fund, and that we're able to do and engage in all those other activities that we have an obligation to engage in as the city of Shreveport. So you continue to effectively advocate and articulate the issues, the concerns. I want you to know that those are not falling on uncaring, insensitive ears and hearts and minds. It's just simply that we ultimately end up being given the obligation to balance all of that together. One of the decisions that we made in 08 and 09 and continue to carry forward, and I don't have any reluctance or regret about it, is that we chose, rather than, as you saw with Bossier and other cities around the country, to not lay off significant portions of our payroll, of our personnel back during that time frame, but to ultimately commit ourselves to doing more with less, not being able to buy some new equipment, not being able to provide pay raises and those sorts of things in an effort to be able to see if we could keep as many folks working as possible so we'd have the staff necessary to do the job and hopefully find ourselves in a situation where revenues begin to significantly increase and we ultimately find ourselves in a position to be able to do something for them. I certainly greatly sympathize with you, as well as with the young lady that you mentioned earlier who has a breast cancer survivor who works for the city of Shreveport but cannot afford to be able to pay for the city provided or offered insurance. Those folks who find themselves within that gray area of the working poor are folks whose situations and circumstances simply break my heart every day. It's one of the reasons as to why I disagree with my governor and have publicly advocated for why it is that we need to accept the Medicaid expansion dollars that will allow us to be able to have folks just like that young lady who can't afford the insurance where they work, but work and make too much money to be able to qualify for Medicaid. They're too young for Medicare, and so they find themselves in a medical desert when it comes to being able to effectively get access to quality treatment. And so I advocate for that, continue to support that, and believe it would be one of the things that would ultimately end up making the quality of life better for so many of our employees. And so continue to do what you do. I ran my last race at this point in 2010, but I ran my first one in 1990. So you came in 91. I got you beat by a year.
All right, okay.
We both undefeated, and hopefully we'll both get a chance under some situations and circumstances to see the good people of this area have the kind of leadership that they need in order to know that their issues are being addressed. So keep doing what you're doing, and we appreciate continuing to have this dialogue and know that these council members hear you, I hear you, and we're open to working with you and the Personnel Board and the Human Resources Board to figure out how we manage to be able to try and make some situations better.
Okay. Well, see, you brought up a few things I didn't want to get into, but
now, you know I'm a
but I'm going to say this is really respectful that I'm saying this.
Your employees don't want you to not say it, so that's
Absolutely, absolutely.
Put it out there.
I mean, all right, I have some. We have things that we're working on that will generate revenue for the city. We have a certified microbiological lab over there that do drinking water. There are no certified. The only other lab in this area that's certified like that is a state lab. And we've had the opportunity to actually make small amounts of money by selling tests. Now, with the new equipment that y'all bought us in the lab upgrade, we got instruments that could do chemistry certification. That's why I hired that PhD chemist and some other people that are real skilled. We spend $450 a test for compliance monitoring. Some tests, a lot of money on tests. Suppose we did that in-house. You can't get these people cheap. I mean, you can't, because we bring them in here and teach them how to use this stuff and they go somewhere else. But that's not the only level. I mean, we have the younger people that are, like, say, in solid waste. We had the Bossier contract. I think that's going to be up. Why should anybody have to work themselves to pieces just to have a living wage? So now we don't have the Bossier contract. So it's got to be some money somewhere. And Mr. Jackson has told us, the chairman of the board, that she's found some money. I don't know what it's going to equate to, but that's for next year. We were looking to get something for this year. And like I say, being a manager, if you're going to be a good manager, you're going to take care of your people. That's all I have to say. If you're going to be a good manager, you're just not going to stack the money at the top and forget about the people in the middle and the bottom. You're going to take care of the people. The citizens want people who are going to take care of them. The ones that's going to patch the streets, fix the water, get that plumbing fixed. I mean, when the sewer backs up in their house, come and get all that cleaned out. That's who they're interested in. Okay, that's who they want to pay. Okay, your constituents, people, want you to take care of these people that are doing those jobs for you, and you will get less calls on the phone when unless who the little man was complaining about not getting the phone call back. Well, you get less of those calls when you got good people paid enough to take care of those vital needs, of those health issues for your constituents. So. And then, and one more thing, by law, I know this, I found this, by law, the firemen are the only employees that have that mandated 2%. But everybody's always said, well, since the firemen got it, let's give it to the police. Okay, since the firemen got it, let's give it to the police, let's give it to the classified employees. That's all I'm saying. What's the difference? If you got 3 kids, are you going to tell me you like one of the kids better than you like the others? No. You're going to have chaos in your house. I mean, just equate it to life. Take care of all of your employees. And like I say, Undercover Boss, you need to watch that story. You might get some awakening. And I know you're not insensitive. I know you like us. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Thank you, Ms. Dennis.
Have no further requests to speak at this time.
Mr. Chairman, before you officially adjourn, my crack staff has provided a copy of the Phase 1 of the minor asphalt arterial program Third from the bottom on that list is Pines Road, Mr. Webb, from Buncombe Road south to the city limits. It is 8,733 feet in length. It's 25 feet wide. It's in District E. We have it at a projected cost of $795,111.93. And there are 10,553 vehicles that traverse that stretch daily. And we have an expectation that that will be one of the projects that will come in, hopefully under budget, and if it does, it's on that list in the first phase. And that again, bids are due on the 10th of October.
Thank you, Mayor Glover. That's good news.
Every now and then we have a little.
Well, now we do have some additional requests to speak. Council will recognize Charlene Giles.
How you doing? You was plural. My name's Larry Henderson, not Charlene Giles, but I have a request to speak. For the purpose of this, my address will be 2139 Greenwood Road. I'd like to speak on behalf of the classified employees. We do more with less, like you said, and it's been years since we had a raise. I would like to take this number of 1,000. If we get a 4% raise and we miss it for 7 years, 4% of 1,000 is $280. If you multiply that, no, it's $40. But if you multiply that times 7, you're going to get 280. So if we miss that 7 years, I'm going to work 32 years. So if I miss that 21 of those years, that's almost $1,000. So I'm leaving with half of what I should have as an employee because I just hadn't got it. And as Ms. Brown said, only the fire department is required to get a raise. But the police department get it as well. And you guys didn't do it, well, all you guys went on the council. A few years back, the police and fire got a raise that was on the bond issue that just got repassed. We were in it, but somehow we got taken out of it, the classified employees. Is there a way that when it comes back up that maybe it could get changed to put us in it? So we want to raise every year too. We are the lower paid employees who didn't get that $100 a month. I didn't mean to make you sleepy, Mr. Will.
Oh, I'm not going to sleep, Chuck.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got your attention. But we want that raise too. We need it. We are the lower paid employees. And believe it or not, some of our employees are making $1,000 and something a month and have to support families on it. It's sad. And some ways that we probably could save some money is when we build our streets going in to do the construction, if we start from the bottom, we have the sewer, the water, the drainage, work on all that, come from the bottom to the top, then we don't have to mess up a new road that we just paid a whole lot of money for to go back up under and fix it, then come back up to and fix the top. And one thing, I like a dog. I love a dog. Don't get me wrong. It's going to cost money for that dog park. I have to agree with the mayor on what he's doing, looking for the cheaper way. Quality of life for a dog is great, but what about our quality of life? We hadn't had a raise in forever. We need that. I have a daughter in college. It costs a lot. She's always asking for something. I'm sure these guys have the same problems. We need that. I mean, put us before the dog. If we get a dog park, who's going to clean the poop up? One of these guys that hadn't had, or females, that hadn't had a raise. Got to clean the dog poop up. That's crazy. Why should we have to clean dog poop up? Give us the quality of life. That's it.
Thank you. Council will now recognize Larry D. Okay. Henderson Robinson, or Robinson Henderson.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, distinguished council. I don't mean to be disrespectful to our council, but my message to y'all today is, how many of y'all ever got up at 1, 2, or 3 o'clock in the morning when it was 28 degrees below zero and had to go out and fix a water main so that your constituents could have water the next morning so they could make their coffee? How many of y'all had to get up at 1, 2, or 3 o'clock in the morning and it was hot and mosquitoes were biting you so we could provide the city with water? When someone leaves a trash can out, they call y'all call our bosses. We had to go back and get a trash can. How many of y'all, when y'all have a leak at your meter, the citizen call y'all call our bosses, we go fix it. I understand we're not begging for anything. We're not begging y'all for any money. I mean, we're not begging, but we're asking y'all. The mayor said that there's no money for us. Why? We got tracking units in our trucks that cost $60,000, $70,000 for the trucks that we have. But we don't have no money. Is something wrong with this picture? We're not begging, we're just asking. It's been some years, Mayor, it's been some years since we had a raise. It's been some years. And we keep saying we need to take care of our families. We do need to take care of our families. We're not starving, but we so low on the totem pole till we have to have second jobs. Find second jobs. It's probably paying less than the job that we got now. We got young men that's coming up behind us that needs money, and I know y'all know that the cost of living is continuously going up. We're paying more, we're getting less. We're doing more, we're getting less. We need a raise. That's all we're asking. I mean, why should we have to suffer because if y'all decide y'all want to give us a raise, as the mayor said, if he do that, then we gotta lay somebody off. Y'all defeating the purpose. That's not why we're here. We're here asking. Just consider, I mean, we talk a lot. I've heard a lot of words said here today. I heard a lot of things. Thank you for this and thank you for that. We did not hear anyone say we're going to take this under consideration. We'll look at it. We'll discuss it and see what Ms. Brown said we could find money. We know it's there because y'all keep coming up with stuff that's not we don't consider important. He said about the dog park. To us, that's not important. But we're going to be the one that don't have to maintain that if it's passed. We don't need no dog park. I clean up my own dog poop, so I don't need a dog park. But y'all look at us as the backbone of this city. Because whenever there is a problem, whether it's in sanitation, sport, we got this football game coming up, this football battle on the border coming up this weekend. That's revenue. There is revenue there. It may not be for us, but I'm pretty sure y'all can fix it so we can get it. I mean, y'all do a lot of things. Y'all make improvements. We're doing stuff. Councilman Webb was talking about cleaning up, and Ms. McCulloch was talking about cleaning up trash in the street. Then he said, well, we can put on a second shift. Well, we don't really need a second shift. We need the people that's doing it now. Do y'all think that we are doing a good job? Do y'all think that the city workers are doing a good job?
Oh, yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Anybody listening? Do y'all really think we are doing a good job?
Oh, yeah.
We are doing a good job. We are working. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Don't get it twisted. Mayor, I love you to death. But
Wow.
Is that we just need. That's all. We just want y'all to help us take care of our families. Thank you.
Did Charlene Giles come back in? Okay, thank you. All right. If there's no objection, we'll now reconvene the regular council meeting.
Mr. Chairman, just before we do that, I would like to say, and I'm not necessarily speaking for the administration, but the council will take this under consideration. You all's request, your concerns, we will take it under we'll take a look at it.
Thank you, sir.
And I do want you to know that we do appreciate the hard work that you all do.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm gonna be truthful with you. I don't know how long I'd have a job if I had to get up at 1 o'clock in the morning, it's 20 degrees, and go out and fix somebody's water or sewage line. You might would see me on the corner with one of those little cards saying, please help the poor. You know, so I don't envy you in what you do. I do know and I do realize, and I've been down here a long time. Probably hadn't been down here as long as Ron Webb and the mayor over there. But I do realize that you all are the backbone. When somebody called me to get a problem fixed, I'm not the guy that go out and and get the problem fixed. You all are the ones who go out and get the problem fixed. So I do want you all to know that we do appreciate what you do. We do appreciate the long hours. And because you didn't mention it, but I know some of you all probably give the city some time when you could be off, or if you're working on a job and the whistle blows, because I'm from an old sawmill town, so I don't know whether y'all know what I'm talking about. You know, I know council members don't know what I'm talking about. You know, when the whistle would blow at 5 o'clock and whatever you was doing, you put it down and you start home and you get ready to come back for the next day. And I know some of y'all, some of the jobs that you do, you just can't put it down right then. You know, you have to give the city some time. So we do appreciate what you do. We do realize that you all do work long hours. Not only when it's cold, and I have to be true with you too. The other day it was 101, 102, 103 degrees. I don't know what I'd do if I had to go out and do some of the jobs that you all are doing when it's 102 degrees. So we do appreciate what you all are doing. We will take this under consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And we will always look at making sure that you all are taken care of. Now, this is from the council. The mayor and Mr. Sibley will comment from the administration. Thank you all again for coming down.
I have something.
Councilwoman McCulloch.
Okay, based on everything that Councilman Shine has said, during my stay here on the council or during the time I took office, what you guys need to know that there are council persons that are a part of this council that every year we have sat down to prepare a budget. We have asked that you be considered for a raise. So it's always been taken under consideration. It's not something that's been overlooked. There are people like myself and other council persons that are still asking, can we give our people a raise? So it's been considered. It's been taken. I've been on the council since 2010. And every year during our budget process, it is taken under consideration, whether it's considered or not. So you need to know that.
Chairman?
Mayor Glover.
And I want to, I guess, extend on the comments, especially that were just offered by Councilwoman McCullough. To all of you all who are here today, and certainly want to say to you, appreciate you taking time to come and express and share your sentiment and to give not just this council, but obviously as the administration, we see it and we hear it and we experience it. But I think the most important audience that you guys are helping to communicate today to are the folks around this city who watch these council proceedings and can see just what quality of folks that we actually have who work for the city of Shreveport. The one thing that you guys should also understand is that every budget process that begins under our system of government, where you have an executive budget that's responsible to be prepared by the administration, that we in turn deliver to the city council by the 15th of every year, with an obligation for the council to approve a budget by the 15th of December of each year. Every budget process from the administration, and I feel more than confident in saying, just as Councilwoman McCullough said, with each and every one of these council members, starts with the question of, are we in a position to be able to offer pay raises to our employees? That question is asked every time, and it is at the forefront of every consideration that we engage in. And do know that the desire, the hope, the intent is to try and figure out how we do that. But now, I'm also one of those folks who I said to you in the early part of my comments, I don't come down and try and pour water on your head and tell you that it's raining. The fiscal conditions of this country, in particular of the city of Shreveport, since 2008, 2009, have not put us in a position to be able to effectively do that. It's not because the desire is not there, not because the will is not there, it's not because we believe that the need is obviously there. But in order to be able to ensure that we can keep the staff that we have, be able to do the other things that we have an obligation to do, then we have had to prepare the budgets that we've prepared, in turn those budgets over to this council, and then engage in a process with them and the public as a whole that ultimately brings us to the conclusions that we have reached budgetarily going back to 2009. And that is that we do not find it possible to be able to put in place those 4%, 2% merit raises as we have in the past. Do I have a hope and a desire that that would change? Absolutely. Is it possible that some future council, some future administration will give consideration, as was done in 2002, in putting another sales tax proposition or some other millage in place for consideration that voters might have a chance, or the council may have a chance to vote on, that would provide a revenue stream for raises? That is certainly a possibility. Would it be wonderful if the economy recovered to the point to where we could see a growth in sales tax revenues or property tax revenues to be sufficient to where we have enough income coming in to be able to allocate additional raises? That would be wonderful. And we continue to hope that we will be able to be in a position to do so.
Mr. Mayor, excuse me, if I may, talking about budget.
Sir, if you're going to comment, and this is a council meeting, not a mayor's meeting, but if you're going to comment, you need to do so on the record so that everyone knows what's been said and there's nothing that's hidden.
Recognize. I'll be happy to recognize him at this point.
Okay, you talking about budget. The tracking units that we have in our trucks, was that included in our budget?
The tracking units included in your truck, are those included within your which?
Were they included in the budget? The tracking units, the GPS systems that we are being tracked by every day, where we go, or if we are speeding, or I think it's right at $70,000.
Those tracking units are in the vehicles because we have, by and large, outstanding employees. Folks, as you just said, who get up in the middle of the night out of their warm beds, who go out into the cold of night or into the heat of the evening and do their jobs under all types of challenging circumstances, who go above and beyond, who are kind, who are courteous, who are respectful, who are proactive in their jobs, without question. The vast majority of those folks are just that, just as the vast majority of elected officials are honest folks who are here trying to do a good job and want to do the right thing. But there's a small percentage of folks who don't do what it is that they're supposed to do, who ultimately put us in a position that costs the city of Shreveport money, time, and resources. Folks who will take a city rig and go out and cut tree limbs and down trees on property outside the city limits. Those are the kinds of folks who end up ultimately making it necessary for us to have to put in place those types of measures so that we don't ultimately end up costing the city more, either in lost resources, time, injuries, or damage. And so, yes, while that's not anything that contributes to your pay, doesn't contribute to mine, but it does put us in a position to be able to give a better account of the city's resources, its property, and its people.
So there again, my question to you is, or to the council is that there was a vote that was taken to find the money to do what you just said.
There was a decision made that was something that we thought was important in the best interest of the city of Shreveport.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Now, appreciate the additional dialogue and feedback. Appreciate the work that you guys do. And again, look forward to working with the council as we go forward into the next budget year. Mr. Chair?
Thank you, Mayor Glover. At this time, the committee rises and reports. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good meeting.
Excellent meeting.
Good meeting.